Testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, my bad.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Cleveland Board of Education April already meeting. How did that get here so fast? We're glad you're here, and we're going to start the meeting with Leah, our student representative. So, Leah.
All right, if everybody would stand up and please pause for a moment of silence. And if you'll turn to the flag and say pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Leah. All right, board members, you have the consent agenda there in front of you. Would anybody like to remove anything from the consent? Nate?
Board retreat minutes.
Board retreat minutes, okay. We'll put those, let's see, after the director's update. How about that?
That's fine.
That work? Any other changes? Okay, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
There
Second.
we go, motion and second.
I'll
All those
just
in
do
favor
both of
say
them.
aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, excellent. Then we will go straight to the first item on our regular agenda is the approval of the Director of Schools contract renewal. We need a motion, and then we can go from there.
So moved.
Okay, make a motion to approve it as is. Nate, second? Okay, discussion. Anybody have anything they would like to add, say? Anybody?
On that comment, I'm very pleased with Dr. Dyer because he came in a situation and everything he's told us he was going to do, he always has a plan. He follows that plan. And I'm very pleased with him as Director of Schools.
Nate?
I have a couple of comments I wanted to make. Definitely, as a result of the pandemic, we learned a lot. And one of those things that stood out above and beyond is the fact that people are our most valuable assets. Technically, we could have school without buildings, but we can't have schools without people. And that is evident as well, or that's realistic for the director level as well. And competitive salaries are important, and they must be embraced to keep and hire good people. And after doing all of our own research and thinking about things, I landed with I'm in favor of what we're doing. And I also think that this is the first step to being effective as far as competitive salaries. This is the right place to start. And then my expectation is for us to continue this effort alongside this with the other employees. So.
Okay, very good. Carolyn, did you have a comment?
No, I just said I agreed with what Charlie said.
Charlie said. So this contract, Peggy, go ahead.
I'm just going to say, I hope we have to evaluate him many more years.
I'm good with that.
Good.
So the contract doesn't have an increase in salary from the current year, nor in the travel or the automobile expenses the same as this last year. But there were some other changes, and you all read those over the weekend. And if you had questions, I encourage you to talk to Dr. Dyer. So are we ready to call for the vote on this one? Okay, all those in favor of the contract renewal, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I don't see any opposition there, so and that passes. Okay, Dr. Dyer.
Thank you all. Appreciate that.
We're going to go to see our scope people next.
Yes, so we had the opportunity a few weeks back to go to Scope, and I had the opportunity to serve as a facilitator for Scope. Scope is a student congress on policies and education. It's put on by the Tennessee School Board Association, and we were very fortunate to have a group from the high school that went participated. We actually had 4 students, and they went participated in Scope. And I want to let them, first of all, introduce our sponsors who went and introduce who you are. And just, I guess, tell us a little bit about your journey there and what you did.
I'll introduce y'all.
Okay, perfect.
This is Kate Wilson. She is a senior. This is Gabe Randolph. He's also a senior. And this is Lucy Wright, and she's a senior. And we have Ben Buttry, who might make it or he might not, but he is also a senior. I'm Athena Davis. This is Julie Phillips. You guys want to just tell a little bit about your...
Yeah, so we went to Nashville a few days ago, and we got the experience of kind of having a mock school board. So it was kind of set up, honestly, a little bit like this. And we went into individual breakout groups. None of us were in the same group together. We were with people from all over Tennessee in different counties. So I had people from way west Tennessee. I had some people from Chattanooga who were near us. And so we elected people to be superintendent, to be on the school board, and then we kind of dealt with some issues. We had issues proposed to us, and we got to vote on them. And it was a really cool experience to kind of see what a school board would be like if we were on it.
What were some of the issues? Like your topics.
What were some of your topics?
Yeah, we debated 4 topics. The first one was whether or not students should be allowed to leave for lunch during the school day. One was, should students meet a certain criteria to be able to park on campus? There was one about dress code and uniforms and whether or not schools should incorporate them. And then,
And we did detention as well. And schools should use detention as a method of punishment for students. And so a lot of us had varying results throughout our groups. Like my group wanted to eradicate detention entirely. And then their groups were like, no, we need to keep it. We just need to reform it. So there were a lot of different results that we got throughout the different groups. It was really cool to see the different interactions that our groups had. It was really cool.
Okay, you have anything to say?
I had low expectations, but I had a lot of fun. It was like a little mini presidential debate. I thought it was very fun.
You know, what you all debate, they publish in the journal for the school boards, and we'll all get that in the mail, and we'll all, or online, and we'll all get to read the percentages on opinions on those topics that you debated. So it's very interesting for us to hear from you all. So we're glad that you did that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Very heated conversation.
There was a debate that went on at the end of the day, so, and we all got to vote on our phones, and so it was interesting to see, because when we heard the topics, I assumed they would all, I know that they were broken up and given a pro-con, but even when they voted, I was shocked at how many kids felt, you know, especially the one about leaving school for lunch.
Yeah.
That's the one that I thought was kind
And
of.
some were super close.
Yeah.
48, 52.
And so how many students do you think were there from across the state?
The letter said, I think 200.
Yeah, it was smaller this year than it's been, but it's on the way back out of COVID, just like everything else. So
Was it at Belmont? Where?
it was at Belmont this year. So usually you'll have upwards of about 500, 600 people. So I'm sure it'll be back to regular size before too terribly.
Well, we've had very many presidents be elected at Scope from Cleveland High School. haven't
Well,
we?
that's one thing we took all seniors, so we weren't able to have anyone. We didn't. We said if we do this again next year, we'll know.
We learned a lot as well.
We did.
So we're much more prepared for next year.
That's right.
And we understand how it, like, the whole day goes. And
I
so.
think David Chung was a president, and maybe David Skidmore was the president, who were back in the 90s, I guess. Yeah, and they.
Come on in.
Oh, we got one more. Good. There you go. Perfect.
All right, we got one more. He can tell us everything, right? Not putting you on the spot. What's your name, please?
Ben.
Ben, you want to tell us about your? No,
But
you're
here.
good.
That's all good.
You're good. We're glad you came. Did you have a good time at Scope?
Yeah, I did. It's actually taught me a lot about being part of the school board, part of debating, everything like that. I've always been interested in like political science, stuff like that, so just going there and experiencing that with other people really pushed me to do that in college.
And it's interesting to learn about the governance of, you know, we're not in here picking what color clothes you wear to school, and that we're policymakers. And so when you go to Scope, you learn what that is. And those are big picture items. Thank you for taking them.
I was going to say, when I was a counselor at Cleveland High School, I got to take the students to Scope, and I loved it. I was always so impressed with our students.
Yeah.
Y'all are never hesitant to speak up, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
You got two good teachers with you, Julie and Athena, though. They were
This
there
is
when I
our
was.
like mini Model UN.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah,
had
that's what I was thinking.
for the last 3 years, so we got a little trip to Nashville.
I think it was.
Instead of Washington, D.C., but it was fun.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
So.
Anybody else? Well, thank you all for coming. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. We're happy. Let's give them all a round of applause. And you But you're welcome to stay.
Thank you.
Be sure to get, you're just gonna take your picture. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have to be in the picture, or you already been in the picture?
I've been in the picture.
You've been in the picture. Okay, we will go to you, Dr. Dyer, for your update.
Yes, all right, let's go to director's update. It'll be on the screen. Here we go. So first off, this is National Assistant Principal Appreciation Week. And I had the opportunity last week to take all of our assistant principals to breakfast and just spend some time with them. No agenda, just go in and talk and just kind of get to know each other a little better, because they haven't had a lot of opportunities with everything going on to do that. So it's always fun to do that. But we have some of the absolute best assistant principals in the whole world right here in Cleveland City Schools. And you know, they do a lot of work behind the scenes that doesn't always get the notoriety of a principal's job or others, but you could absolutely not have a school without them. So we really truly appreciate the job of our assistant principals and the time and effort they put in every day to make school happen. So appreciate their work. A little update on our principals, Yates and Blackbauer. The Yates position is closed online, and we have our applicant pool. We're getting ready to do interviews here in the near future. Blackbauer position is open online now, so we're taking applications for that position. So we're moving full steam ahead. It's important for us to get those folks in position for next year, and to that sometimes opens doors in other ways that we have to fill positions. So we simply can't wait. We have to move on and find the best people for that. So very excited about that.
How many candidates do you have for the Yates?
I would say around 10.
10?
For the final 14.
14?
14. So good number. Good number. That's always a plus. Last Friday happened to be April Fool's Day, and it was a good day for us. Bartlett City Schools over in West Tennessee came and visited. Their superintendent and their 9th grade academy principal and their high school principal came to the high school, and Autumn and her team did a fantastic job of leading them through a Capturing Kids' Hearts visit. And they spent half a day with us just learning about the programs that we offer for Capturing Kids' Hearts, but also for leadership development. And then they took a tour of the school, visited CTE, and I had the opportunity to take them to a local restaurant for lunch. And we had a good lunch before they headed back. But it was good for them to visit. They were in awe of the work, and really, truly, I heard over and over again, appreciated the visit and learning from us. And I think we've talked about in the near, not so distant future, we would love to go to Bartlett and visit with them. Our two systems are very much alike when you look at demographics, and they're bigger than we are, but there's a lot of similarities between Cleveland and Bartlett, Tennessee. So I think we could learn from each other and appreciate all the students that were involved, the teachers, everybody did a great job at the high school. Last week, we of course had our retreat, but before the retreat, we had our Teachers of the Year, first ever advisory council meeting, and had a really nice time with them. That was the first time that we have ever done anything like that, that I know of. And just the opportunity to sit down with our Teachers of the Year for 3 hours and have a dialogue about whatever they wanted to talk about, really. And it paid off in dividends. I learned a lot about things that I need to know, and from their perspective as teachers, and they brought ideas to the table of things that we can look at and look differently at and think through. So very pleased with that meeting. Look forward to that group again meeting in the fall, and then of course we have new Teachers of the Year. They'll be elected, and meet with them in the spring and then the following fall. So we're going to get on a regular basis with that group and continue that process. I really enjoyed that. The final piece I want to share with you deals with a new program that you've actually approved in the course guide for the high school. And I'm going to let Cody, if you would go to that link. Tango Flight is a new initiative that we're going to have at the high school for career and tech. Students, don't laugh at this, are going to be building an airplane. Students are going to be building an actual airplane that will actually go in the air with actual people inside. This program is an initiative that is only in one other school system in Tennessee, up in Greenville. And Randy Wittenbarger got in touch with Tango, and we had a meeting with them, and we've got things in motion. And What we will be doing, basically, our automotive students, our engineering students, as well as our aviation students and teachers are going to be working together. We will be provided a kit that has very detailed instructions, very detailed ways of doing things. We'll have mentors from the local community who are very involved in aviation coming into the school. So it's bringing the community into the school to participate. And over the course of a year, those students will build from scratch, basically, a plane. And at the end, Tango retains the ownership of the plane all the way through. So I've already checked with Tennessee Risk Management. I've already checked with our lawyer. Everything's good as far as that goes. Tango retains ownership of the plane all the way through. We've had great partnership with BCPEF as far as getting this off the ground. I used that pun again this morning to get the program underway, and look forward to seeing where this actually goes. So the students build the plane, and at the end of the year, when that plane is developed, it goes through the same FAA checkout that a Boeing 737 would go through. You know, it's officially checked through the FAA for all the nuts and bolts and everything that have to be part of a plane. And then the owner of Tango Flight, the CEO, actually comes and takes a test flight. And then after that, of course, after waivers are signed, the students who built the plane can go up with the pilot, and as well as the teachers, board members, community. You know, so the end goal is they sell the plane to someone, and they've sold every plane that they've built so far to private people in the community or anywhere in the United States, really. And then that money comes back as invested back into the program. So this is going to be a really, really neat thing that's about to happen at the high school.
Does it take a whole year to build it? They build
It's a
another one the
whole
next
year process, and then the next year a group of students will come and start over again. So not many schools can you say in this world start from a box and end up with an airplane. And if you scroll, I think if you scroll down some, you can see how this works and how things come together over time. The mentors are working with the students coming in. These are aviation people that know how to put together engines and do all these different pieces. They know aeronautics. You can see the plane coming to life here. And then as you keep scrolling, I think you'll see the final product in the air there. And that's what it will look like.
That's exciting. Where will they
Or
build
something
it?
similar to that anyway.
Where will they build it?
They paint it, but I can't remember the exact details. It won't have logos. We won't be able to put, because they do sell it to private citizens, but it's actually going to look very similar to this.
They can put one of those temporary logos on it.
Right.
Magnetic.
Right. So we can do wraps or something like that. Well, we can't paint Cleveland City Schools on the side unless we want to buy the plane. So much I have to travel to Nashville, that might be a good addition there. But no, that's something that, of course, that's something we're be very proud of, and it already is in our color scheme there. We get that color design, so this is something I want to make sure you're aware of. This is something that's going to be a huge, huge program. I think it's going to be very successful and very popular too.
Where will they build it? We don't have room at the high school.
Well, that's something we're going to be looking at. You know, probably we'll have to use some of that engineering classroom, the big classroom where the robot is. Then things might have to be moved around or shuffled around some. But we will find space for this.
They're going to use some automotive bays, I think, for the initial part, and then once it gets to a certain size, then they obviously have to move it over in that engineering classroom. But the automotive bays have enough space to build.
Sure.
And then I think they're going to clear out the far ones closest to the automotive classroom.
Right.
That could be a great experience for somebody that wanted to work for a company.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
This
really
is about
help
as
them get a
real world
job.
experience as you get.
That's exciting.
So how many students can take the class or participate?
Do we know how many students?
So it will be a combination of engineering, automotive, and aviation. So
Okay.
it will be those upper level classes. So in theory, you could have 3 different classes that are working on different sections and collaborating to build the plane. So those class limits are 25 per class, but you might have 3, 4, 5 upper level classes. I wouldn't expect that there'd be 100 kids working on it. I think there'll be a selection process, but it will be those upper level automotive, aviation, and engineering classes.
Awesome.
And robotics, I think, is involved in there as well.
That's
How
great.
many schools in the country have a program like this?
Is it 15? I would have to look and be.
It popped in my brain was a dozen, so somewhere.
Somewhere in that number. We can find that for you and let you know, but
So a
only
dozen?
one other school system in Tennessee.
That's great. That's amazing.
10 states.
10 states.
10 states. 10?
There's 10 states.
10 states, so
Okay.
very limited numbers.
Sorry?
So is this ready for August?
This will be coming. Now, the kit is ordered will be ordered soon. And then as soon as it can get here, now like everything else, it may experience some delays, but I think what they told us is they've ordered extras already that are in stock, and they can get to us if we got our order in, and we are getting our order in.
And can we do repeats?
Well, what do you mean by
Like,
that?
once we get done this
Yes.
one?
If it's successful and we want to continue with this, I think once we're in, we're in. So we are good to go.
Did you help some with it too, Lynn, or Foundation?
Yes.
Thank
I got
you.
to sit in on the meeting
Thank you.
with Rennie and Autumn and Dr. Dyer and Jeff. It was exciting. It was exciting. It was stimulating. We've had several subsequent meetings, and there will be more information forthcoming.
Thank you.
So, very exciting program. I want to make
Wow.
sure that you're aware of it and that you
That's
actually get to see the pictures, because in about a year, you're going to see a plane. So that's really neat.
Wow.
Look forward to this.
It would be very nice if someone in this city might donate some hangar space out at the airport. But I know transportation would be an issue
Right.
also.
Right.
Yeah.
So something to think about in future cases, though.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's my report.
Well, that's a great report. Thank you, Dr. Dyer. All right, we're going to talk about the board retreat minutes. Nate, you pulled that off consent?
Yeah, and keeping with the theme of the minutes, because we spent some time talking about diversity, I'd like to have diversity added to
Okay.
a topical list there. So.
And we didn't take any action at the retreat, which is, so we didn't have a detailed minutes, but we wanted to be sure we could see the topics that we talked about.
And that's why I'm asking for it. to be added.
Absolutely, yeah. Anything else anybody has that want to do that? Okay, so now I need a motion to approve those. So, anybody want to make a motion? Nate? Thank you. Second?
Second.
Tom? Any other questions, additions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, very good. Okay, we go to policies, Dr. Dyer. Or no, Nate, I believe that's your job.
It is.
I'm here for backup.
All right, so the policies are there on the agenda, and hopefully you guys have had the opportunity to look at them. I'm just going to highlight a couple things to point out here, specifically with policy 1.806, advertising and distribution of materials. There were some item numbers that we removed, and we removed 3 and added 4. And most of those were in a collaboration with internal personnel as well as TSBA. So that's removal of 6, 7, and 8, and then adding 6, 7, 8, and 9. Right?
Okay. You want to just go through them all, and then we'll do
Yeah, that'd be
a
great.
motion on all of them?
Then policy 3.206, similar as far as the process. This is for community use of school facilities. We added some material or some language to existing bullet items and added an additional one, which is bullet 14. Any questions? No? All right, 6.201, this is regarding compulsory attendance ages, and this is the model policy that's been tweaked a little from TSBA.
So I had a question. So this is a new policy that we didn't have previously?
No, it is. We've had it, but it was updated to bring it in line with the current law.
So is it maybe a little clearer, compulsory attendance, has it changed from the other one, like the age of compulsory attendance, like from 5 to 4 or 6 to 5 or something? Or why was it, do you know?
Oh, if you scroll down, you can see the old policy. It's
Oh, that's
under-
what I was missing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, if you go on down there, it is. So you
Yeah, it's the
can
old one.
compare that if you want to do that.
Oh, okay.
I think basically what you're seeing are updates just to the way state wording is on state laws and policies from State Board of Education. It's mainly just a cleanup of those, bringing them into compliance. Nothing's changed as far as the age group goes.
Okay.
All right, policy 6.204, same scenario. This is for attendance of non-resident students. This essentially is rewritten and brought up to current language, state laws. So,
And the same, the old policies underneath it, if you had time to look at that, it shows there's not substantial changes there.
I had a quick question, just tied to what Ben was talking about during our retreat. This doesn't reflect what he was discussing. That's what he was talking about as proposed legislation that may
That's correct.
cause us to have to update
That's correct.
this.
So we may have to come back and look at this later if new laws are passed, but as of today, here's where we are.
Any other questions on that? Okay, so I need a motion to approve these on the first reading.
So move.
Peggy.
Second.
Charlie or Krista, either one. Any other questions on the policies? Motion, okay. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Okay, very good. All right, the first and final reading of policy 6206, and what we'll have to do if we're going to do both of these in the same fell swoop is we will have to vote to not follow our policy for 2 readings. I'm looking for the word, it escaped me here. Waive, thank you, waive the second reading. So we have to make that vote before we approve this. But Nate, if you want to review this with us, and then we can do that.
Yeah, this particular policy, 6.206, is focused on transfers within the system.
It gets worse, believe me.
And as you can see, it's all red. It's essentially almost a rewritten for the same reason to bring up to date with current law and language. So,
And why do we have to skip, or why are we in a hurry of not having 2 separate readings on this policy?
I'll defer.
I'll speak for that. We are in the process of wanting to meet the timeline so that this spring you can go ahead and promote and put out this information for the families for the enrollment process and to meet the timeline that's mentioned here as we have done in the years past. So that would be the reason.
Very good. Is that it?
Is it?
All right, so I need a motion to waive our policy for 2 readings first. Hear a motion? Krista? And Tom? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Okay, now we will do the first and final reading of this policy. Nate, make the motion.
I move that we accept this policy for final reading.
Okay.
Second.
Charlie? Any other questions or discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, very good, it's unanimous. All right, we will move to strategic plan focus.
Okay, Michael Kars is going to come forward in Student Information Systems today, and he's going to talk about our upcoming assessment schedule.
Yes, I appreciate it. I love to come talk to you guys about it. I know it's not the most exciting topic, but I'm kind of like your accountant. You don't want to hear from me because things are going right if you don't hear about it. So I wanted to give you a quick update on assessments. It's that time of year again, so I'm going to talk basically about TCAP and EOC and just kind of give you an update of what's going on this year. And I will say before we start this, we were one of the few schools in Tennessee that took the ACT online. So the state approached us about doing that, and we agreed, and Autumn and her team did a great job, and Daryl Touye and Jacqueline Ingram, they're an amazing team over there, and that was the first for all the students, the juniors, right, to take their ACT online. So that was exciting. So let me move into TCAP and EOC if you want to go ahead one. So the deliveries showed up. This is what we're testing in, and grade 2, we always opt into grade 2 testing. I don't know if you know this, but that's an optional test in Tennessee. So the reason that we've historically done that is to get a growth score. So the earlier you start, the earlier you can get a growth score. So you can imagine if we started in 3rd grade, you wouldn't get any scores on your students until 4th grade for growth, whereas this way we get to back up a year. So grade 2 is only ELA and math. Those are the only 2 things that are tested. Grades 3 through 5 this year are still, there is no social studies for grades 3 through 5 from the state level. They're still working on revamping those standards and getting those items out in field tests. So we are only doing the 3 tests in those areas. When you move up to 6 through 8, though, lucky for the middle school, they get 4 tests for every kid in the building. The middle school is the most punished of the schools because you can imagine they've got every student, all 4 areas. They do a great job, though. So we'll have those tests. Plus, we have some Algebra 1 students at the middle school, too, so they take the Algebra 1 test. EOC at the high school, math still has the 3 tests that they're given. We do the Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 tests. English, you remember a few years ago, English 3 was taken off in an effort to reduce testing load on students, so that's why there's only an English 1 and English 2 now. The state knew that juniors take ACT, and there are other measures we can look at, so that was an effort. Also in science, we only test biology. Chemistry was removed a few years ago, if you remember. So, and then we do have a social studies test there, U.S. history for EOC. So testing windows, I probably should put the bottom point at the top, but the schedules are available for anyone, parents and you guys as well can look at clevelandschools.org/testing. It's pretty detailed, and you can see when the schools are. They're each allowed their own schedule. That's not always been that way, but for the past few years, and we as a district can choose to do that. The schools know their schedule best, and we just think that the way they like to do it in their culture and their community, we allow them to do that. They have a window. So when you see these dates, I would encourage you to go out to the website and actually look at a few schools, because the window looks fairly long, but the schools are working inside that window. So we've got April 19th to 29th for grades 2 through 5, and then 6 through 8 gets a little more time. Their end date is May 3rd. EOCs start April 19th and end May 6th, but again, that's a window. They're not testing every day of that time period. But they have more time because they have more students to get tested. So, but they are online. Dr. Raber, is there a first slide that we missed, or is it next? I'll go one more then. Yes. So materials are, the grades 2 through 8 are paper. So the legislature actually banned us from testing online in middle school. So grades 2 through 8 are paper this year. And then the EOC is online via their TestNav testing system. So we got our materials. It was 4 big pallets on the back of a truck. They showed up a few days ago, and my team and I went down and separated them, and Hal was great, his guys, and separated them out and got them out to the schools quickly so they can work on them. They've got a lot of pre-processing they have to do to make those work. We'll give about 10,000 paper tests and then about 2,000 online tests this year, and those are overall. There's sub-tests inside of those. So, but it's a lot of work that the schools do. We basically do testing in our schools under a distributed model. So we don't have just one person in charge of testing at a school. We decided a few years ago to go to teams. So each school has a team of 4 people that work on separate areas, like accommodations might be one person, materials might be a different person, security is another person. So you can see the places that they work on those teams. And that distributed load helps because testing got kind of out of control for one person to be able to do. And then the important part is why you do all that is you want those results back. So July 15th there is an online portal that we notified parents when those results come out, and they put their code in and they can see their students' history from back as far as they've been testing. That's a new feature that came out last year from the state. So parents can go on, see this year's test, and they can also scroll back and look at all the reports from all time for all however many students they have. They also give paper copies to us to give out as well for families that are not able to get online. So we get those out once the schools come back. They separate those out and send those home once they get back from summer. And then the growth scores also come back in the fall for both students and parents, and then for teachers to use as well. So that is what we're doing with state testing right now.
Any questions? Peggy?
Yeah, so these scores have nothing to do with the grade that the student might get in class, right?
EOCs do.
The EOCs do, they count for 20%.
20% of the grade, but you don't get them back until July?
We get quick scores, so I should have put that in there. There's what's called a quick score comes back, and it is basically a raw score of how many items they got right, and they'll give you, we have a model and policy of how to convert that into a percentage, and that goes into their final exam. So we do get those scores back in time. For the high school, we do, and we use those in there.
Do you see big discrepancies sometimes where a student might do really well on that, but have poor grades and vice versa?
I have done an analysis on that, and there are situations like that, but in general, you know, statistically things even out with big numbers, and overall, the scores they get back are actually a little bit higher than their average, because the formula is very lenient. It's a state formula that they allow us to use, so they actually usually make a little bit better than their current average.
Yeah. Okay.
Charlie?
Maybe Autumn, I think there was 3, science, 2 English, whatever, it was like total 7.
Yes.
Is there only one a day, like a freshman kid that's not going to have biology 1 and algebra 1 the same day, right? Or they?
Well, every year is a little different sometimes, but we try to make sure that we don't have a junior test and a sophomore test, but it's really hard when the days are limited because you also have to do parts. So there's a part 1, a part 2, and a part 3 for ELA, and there's a part 1 and a part 2 for, so there's lots of parts. And so, but this year we're able to spread it out, so it's by subject area. The only crossover that we have this year will be with AP testing, which starts the last week of EOC testing. We also start AP testing. But a lot of those AP classes are juniors and seniors, so they might have 1 or 2 EOCs. So, but that really is about the only crossover. So we try to spread it out as best we can. And the window, having some freedom in scheduling that window.
I think there were 7 EOCs?
Yes.
Yes, and you got to realize if you look at them in terms of grade level, you know, you got English 1 and English 2. Well, no one's going to be taking both of those, and the math, no one's going to be taking all 3. So
I just wonder about an English 1 and an algebra 1 the same day or something like that.
Sophomore year, you could possibly have 3 EOCs with biology, English 2, and geometry or algebra 2. So you could have 3. But the chances of one student taking all 3 of those classes in the same semester are usually pretty slim. They usually are spread out across 2 semesters.
Y'all doing the best you can so somebody hopefully don't have 2
And if somebody
EOCs.
comes and says, I have this test and this test, we can always get them on the makeup, or if they're out sick or whatever, we work on the makeup.
There is flexibility to it.
Yeah. Got another question?
Yes.
Are these scores used to evaluate maybe a teacher's effectiveness to teach a subject?
Well, the growth scores come back and have to be used as part of their evaluation process. But besides that, it's not used that way. This is about student performance and basically helping teachers and parents increase the achievement of their students.
Well, if a teacher had students that did exceptionally well, I would think that would be a good reflection, you know, on that teacher.
They do use results to put teachers together in PD situations as well. I know that teachers that do well and are willing to share with other teachers, they are paired together like
Their
that.
methods, how they achieve those scores.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be good.
Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you. I have just a little bit of an idea of what the 10,000 paper. So thank you for what you do.
It's all the school teams, and I tell you what, when it comes in, it's overwhelming. You don't want to get anything on a semi-truck ever, really. And it comes in, it just goes out box by box, and they do what they do, and it comes back, and we get it back, and it's just the teams at the schools, you know, really do a great job.
Do you unload it at Hal's place? Is that where you put it out?
Yes, Hal gets his forklift.
I was wondering, so it's protected.
You see his forklift guy come out, and he gets these 4 pallets off, and they put it under the cover for us.
That's good,
and me and my team, basically, we have to unshrink wrap it, divide it out by school, and then his team takes it to the different schools. And then this year, actually, I've petitioned the state, we're actually not going to have to bring them, usually I have to bring them all back, shrink wrap them up, but I petitioned them for security reasons to be able to do UPS back. But they don't like to do that because it costs a lot of money for the company to do that, so. 264 boxes if you want to come help.
I'll help Hal with anything.
I'll drive the forklift, how about that?
Thank you, guys.
Well, I appreciate the job that Michael and his team
Yes.
does, and our building test coordinators and everybody else. It is a huge task.
Yes.
And I come to Michael a lot and I say, can you run this crazy report for me? And you got to figure it out, and he does. And that really helps a lot, so thank you.
I go to the testing website on the state a lot of times to look at things, and I get so lost in all those numbers and think, golly, every year you give us a report, somehow you shuffle all that down and make sense of that. So thank you for that.
I'll have something exciting for you in the fall. We're working on a new cloud-based repository for all that, so I may be able to give you an even more exciting.
Oh, that would be
in the fall,
great.
so.
Very good.
Thank you.
I wouldn't want to take that.
Leah, what do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have to tell us about today?
Well, I'll start off with sports. Our softball team is doing exceptionally well this year. They are currently 5-2 in district play, including big wins over Walker Valley and Bradley. If y'all don't know, Walker Valley also has a phenomenal softball team. And I'm not gonna lie, normally they beat our butts, but this year we beat their butts. So I'm not on the softball team, but I take a little bit of pride in beating Walker any day. But overall, they are 8-6, and they have games against Chattanooga Christian and Howard this week. Baseball moves into the second half of their district play this week. They play Howard and Walker Valley. They play Howard this week and Walker Valley next week. Soccer is 1-1 in district play, and they have games against Ray County and Bradley this week. The tennis team is having a good season, and they say that they are having a ton of fun at their practices, and they have one home match left against Ray County on Thursday, and they are looking forward to it. Winter Guard finished their season, and they finished third in their division at the SAPA Championship that was held at McKenzie Arena. There were 12 schools in their division. In our fine arts, the musical this year is Freaky Friday, and that will be presented on April 21st through 25th. And then, like Dr. Dyer said earlier, Bartlett, Tennessee came to the high school to observe how our freshman experience classes operate and the Capturing Kids' Hearts program as a whole. The Senior Walk and Academic Signing Day are taking place on April 29th. Seniors will receive their cap and gown tomorrow. The Graduates of Distinction had their ceremony last Monday, and we had a ton of fun celebrating our students and their favorite teachers. And CHS hosted a successful blood drive, and we're thankful to our health science students and teachers for organizing that event.
That's good.
If I could add one thing, I was told by Mrs. O'Brien that Maryville is actually coming on Thursday to look at Capturing Kids' Hearts as well. So another school to add to your list there.
We've just got a busy place going
I
on
know,
over there.
I know.
There's
Showing
so
off.
much going on.
The exemplary school. Okay, one more thing I didn't add to the agenda because it's kind of informal, but we wanted to meet again in a work session to kind of tie up the loose ends from our retreat because we all had to scoot out of there, and we had great discussions at that retreat. So I would like you all to give me some dates. I know that Nate will be unavailable next week, so if we could look at the next week, and Dr. Dyer, you too, and maybe Julie can help us there. And Monday and Wednesday and Thursday are not good?
Just Mondays and Wednesdays.
Just Mondays and Wednesdays, unless they're in the evenings, but.
Yeah, and then after the 25th, that's moot because that's the last day of classes.
So, of course, Easter Monday is the 18th. And, do we have school that day?
No.
Okay, so the rest of that week would be okay. I was thinking maybe Tuesday the 19th. What does Dr. Dyer's schedule look like?
Right now, that is the day I'm going to be interviewing for a specific job.
Okay.
Not me interviewing
You
for a job. I'm going to be
interviewing for
interviewing others for a job.
You have something to
Thanks
tell
for
us?
that clarification.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that. Well, what about Thursday?
21st.
The 21st? Would y'all be available on that?
I came at lunch.
We could do it after lunch. I mean, we
Okay.
could, it doesn't have to be a lunch or a big long meeting either, probably an hour. We could probably do it. Something like, what's a convenient time, like 4 to 6 or 3 to 5, or I respect people that have jobs and have to be there, so I don't want to step on anybody's toes with that. Or would you prefer morning?
I would prefer morning.
Tom wants to do it at 7 o'clock, I know.
Yeah, Merle got me broken into that. He'll get up at 5:30 and drive to
I'm
Nashville.
not on campus that day.
Yeah, he did.
We're wide open, so.
Okay, your schedules are good. Well, Dr. Dyer, what does your schedule look like that day?
I have a meeting at 9, but we could do something with 10:30 work.
You want to do 10:30 to 12, and then you could get to your meeting? Okay, let's do that. 10:30 to 12 on the 21st?
21st, okay.
Okay. Perfect.
Here in this building.
Sure.
Mhm.
It'll be quick, and then we can all leave and go eat lunch or go to meetings or whatever else we need to do. Does anybody else have
21st.
anything? Dr. Dyer, you have anything
I do
else?
not.
I do.
Okay, Peggy.
I just want to announce that Cody and Emily Raper have a new baby boy.
Yes.
And they brought him to church Sunday, and he's gorgeous. He's so cute.
Very good.
Congratulations.
Well, Cody was here at the last meeting, and that was like 2 days after he was born, right? And Cody was rather sleep deprived. Is it better yet, or is it?
It's a lot better.
Lot better.
Emily takes the brunt of it at least.
Well, that's happy, great news. We love to share. We love to see our future bright with Cleveland City School students, right?
Exactly.
Okay, nothing else?
I'd like, if Julie could, to give us all the dates of things, especially at the high school, graduation, all of those dates.
We'll do that.
Okay, anything else? All right, we will adjourn by general consent. Thank you all.
Is Brian Flower still on next?